So before the video starts, I'm just going to say the keys I'm dangling in front of you in the form of gameplay is nothing to do with any of the points, and it's not to do with anything with the video. It's simply just there to satisfy your goldfish brain. But if you do want to suck my left nut over how good that gameplay is, you're more than welcome to do so. So today we're going to be talking about the biggest pile of animal feces on Twitch, and this pile of feces unfortunately has a name, which is Mizkif. Now, if you don't know who Mizkif is, he is a Just Chatting streamer on Twitch. Just Chatting basically being the equivalent of watching Gordon Ramsay and reacting to YouTube videos to then upload to your own YouTube channel as a form of reaction slop content. However, admittedly, Mizkif puts a bit of a spin on the Just Chatting section by presenting game shows and inviting other popular streamers on his stream, which sets him apart from the rest. But Mizkif started by first being a cameraman for Ice Poseidon, which, oh god. To know who Ice Poseidon is, you just have to know that he's been banned off every platform because of his behaviour and antics. But mainly because that's when most platforms got their shit together and said, we're only accepting this type of content, no edgy content. Kind of like YouTube did when they got rid of Leafy and all the other people. You'd think with this opportunity for Mizkif, he would learn a lot, but the only thing he did learn was how to make content for viewers, and he really wasn't the best of people at this time. But when Ice Poseidon's group fell apart, Mizkif went his separate way and started streaming on Twitch a lot more often than he usually did, which led him to cultivate his own audience and later join a content group called OTK, or One True King. This content organisation involved Asmongold, aka $2 Steak Guy, Soda Poppin, who's pretty cool but keep him away from your kids, Sia, who gives off the energy of a personal trainer your mom's being piped by, but she won't admit it, but Sia is pretty cool. Esfand, who always irradiates kindness and happiness, but you have to wonder if he's always like that, or he's just a psycho off camera.
No rules, no boundaries. He doesn't flinch at torture, human trafficking, or genocide.
But he's a pretty cool guy. Nick, or NMP LOL, who occasionally trips over his own ego.
Well, because
I've literally been here before you were even here, so I don't understand what the deal is. I have my badge. I'm a competitor.
No, it's not. It's not about that. Coming underneath or across the lines. That's the whole point.
No, I make too much money to
be.
be dealing with you. Excuse me. Get out of my way, bitch.
Emaru, who's Emaru, Tegtone, who's most known for being obnoxious, and that one little car rant he had with his ex-wife.
How do I deal with him? I love him.
Don't touch me.
I'm patient.
No, you're fucking not.
That is the majority of OTK's talent. However, we are focusing on this little guy that is such a big piece of shit, he makes a landfill look like the Great Pyramids of Giza. Our first point is how he deals with criticism. Most arrogant Twitch streamers like Mizkif, facing criticism from a group or a person, always say stuff like, you're weird, you're not as popular as me, you're doing this for clout, leave me alone, stop obsessing over me, something like that. But Mizkif takes it a step further and stops it before it even gets out. A popular Reddit page livestream fails, which thank God it went out during the blackout.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Has been getting paid by Mizkif to remove posts regarding him that view him in a bad light. And I hope to God they are getting paid by him and not just doing it because they're fans of him, because that is the most deranged objective I can think of. But if you don't know what Livestream Fails is, it is a Reddit page dedicated to livestream fails. Well, it used to be, until it's now just drama, big titty girls, and just general shit. So the only reason people know Mizkif pays the mods is because he told other streamers he pays the mods.
Censor people in general on LSF because they know mods. True, Mizkif does pay the LSF mods. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact from, you know, being there when he told me that he paid the mods.
Which is the weirdest insecurity to brag about, that you need people to censor the content that displays you as a shithole because you are a shithole. However, the mods do not censor posts that can't fly under the radar, like when Mizkif tried to cover up a sexual assault allegation. That we will talk about later. I personally have seen firsthand how the LSF mods deal with posts about Mizkif. I saw a post regarding Mizkif and Emaru, who is also in OTK, and it was instantly sniped the next time I looked at the Reddit, and the only place I could see it was the shithole that is Twitter. And that post I did see we will go into later as well. So let's talk about the sexual assault that was covered up by Mizkif. His friend sexually assaulted another female Twitch streamer. and it was alleged that Mizkif and his girlfriend at the time, Maya, went round to the female Twitch streamer's house to try and talk her down from making a statement. And this only came out from an argument Mizkif was having with Trainwrecks, when Mizkif threw some shit at Trainwrecks, and Trainwrecks dropped a fucking tactical nuke. This sparked a lot of backlash since the person that actually did the sexual assault was still living with Mizkif, and he still stood by the person that did the sexual assault. Then he even went on a rant on his stream saying it wasn't a big deal, and he doesn't think people really gave a shit.
Worst comes to worst of it, it's fucking like sexual harassment, right? I mean, like, no one, of what you can deem of it, it's sexual harassment, whatever. At a low scale, it's not really a big deal. I don't think people really gave a shit.
Keep in mind, this is after all the information has been leaked out. People are grabbing pitchforks and just burning everything to the ground, but no one gives a shit. OTK came out with a statement saying they were putting on suspension whilst they investigate the situation, and they were hiring a third-party company to do the investigation. And eventually the result was that Mizkif apparently did nothing wrong, but there was no information about the investigation. There was no mention of the third-party company that was taking the investigation. There was no information. Just he was innocent, and probably the evidence was a sticky note with sexual assault bad signed by Mizkif. Whilst the investigation was going on, Mizkif and his ex-girlfriend got a whole month off whilst the investigation was ongoing. But on his eventual return, Mizkif promised his fans that he would be streaming Pokemon, where his chat could control the game through chat. It's a known Twitch thing, Ludwig's kind of done the same thing. But eventually he closed it due to low viewer count. This was his apology to his community and his comeback, but he closed it due to low view count and low engagement. I don't know what he expected. He came back after a month with allegations against him and just expected the view count to be 30k, with him basically doing nothing and his chat playing the game. But since then his viewership has recovered and he does average around 20 to 30k now. But to top this situation off, Mizkif recently called out FaZe Rain for his video with Grace Van Dien, saying the fact that she was crying and left the scene and he posted this video is disgusting. And I've never agreed more with a Twitter comment section. I'm actually surprised actually saying that. Twitter is a shit app, but we all use it anyway. But basically it was people saying, you know, you covered up a sexual assault, you have no room to talk, and it was blatant virtue signaling. So for the context for the next point, you need to know Mizkif is quite wealthy, as seen by his house and the background of his streams. Mizkif is a wealthy streamer, and you'd think he'd have an accountant and someone to like manage his funds for him, tell him when taxes are due and whatnot. But no, he completely forgot about his taxes that he's owed, and he didn't have enough money to pay his taxes. The taxes were around 600k, I believe, and he obviously couldn't pay them. I honestly don't know what he was spending that amount of money on, but he couldn't pay them. So he had to turn to Emiru. She paid his taxes and he's slowly paying her back for paying his taxes. But Emiru comes into this as she accidentally leaked some DMs with Mizkif whilst on stream. And this involves the clip that I said earlier. It was sniped straight from the Reddit by the Reddit mods that are in Mizkif's wallet. And I only found it on the shithole that is Twitter. And the account I found it on just perfectly describes Mizkif's viewers. It is a viewer of Mizkif that I can't tell is either bipolar or just a straight up dumbass. They can't choose whether to support Mizkif or just go up against him. And before we go into the screenshots, I'm just going to say these two have not publicly said they're in a relationship. It's completely fine for streamers to not say they're in a relationship, especially with other streamers. But in these screenshots, it's hard to say they're not in a relationship. I can't see it from any other angle. And trying to see it from any other angle, it just doesn't make any sense why he would say such things. But let's just get into the screenshots. So from reading these DMs, you can obviously assume Mizkif is pissed off that Emiru is, in his words, farming parasocial viewers by sexualizing herself to her audience, or at least he makes out to be that way. Obviously, as I was saying, it makes more sense if they're in a relationship. I can't see a friend saying this, let alone a colleague, part of the same organization. But basically, he calls her out for what he thinks is her sexualizing herself. She tries to defend herself. It doesn't go so well. From the messages, you can kind of see he does not believe her. That okay lol just irradiates a bit of hostility. And as the messages progress, he just basically says, this is bullshit. And she's just basically saying she doesn't see it the same way. But keep in mind, this woman has just paid for his taxes out of her kindness of her heart. But, you know, he just comes out swinging. He's the last batter. The bases are loaded. he just smashes her with this shit. And I think it's easy to tell I know nothing about fucking baseball. And it is a bit biased for me to say, but I think if someone just paid that amount of my taxes, I think if I had a problem with this, I would go in a bit more gingerly and not just straight up say, this is bullshit, fuck you. And you can certainly view Mizkif as being manipulative through these DMs, especially since he did it while she was streaming, which apparently led to her leaving the stream crying. But I wasn't watching the stream as that happened, so take it with a grain of salt. But arrogance by Mizkif is clearly shown here. And others have been saying these are completely photoshopped, but for their small little lizard brains, unless Emiru is a Photoshop master and just cooked them up and threw them on stream, this can't happen live on a stream. I don't see why she would Photoshop them on stream and show them to their viewers to get Mizkif in shit. And Mizkif hasn't said anything about these screenshots, neither has Emiru, but this is fashion of Mizkif. Just wait till the drama goes down and then just continue making content, and eventually the drama just goes away. But this is going to wrap up the video. I personally think Mizkif has done some fucked up shit and has just not faced serious repercussions for those things, hence why he keeps doing these things. And when he does receive a bit of backlash for the things he's done, he'll just go on a break and then continue as normal, and everyone will just forget about it. But that's just my opinion. I'd like to know your guys' opinions in the comments, even if you do remotely care about the situation. But anyway, that's it. Bye.